price controls and more shortages coming up. Like clockwork, all empires go through the same playbook. It's how governments fail, always. Just like all currencies go to zero, all fiat currencies. Sometimes we overthink our most pressing problems, when in reality the easy answer is right in front of our nose. The cure for high prices is more high prices, as Peter Schiff, who I don't always agree with, but it's good to not always agree with people and be able to debate them. He's an incredible monetary historian, as is Mike Maloney, who we'll see here in a minute. I don't agree with him on where the world will totally go, as in the gold area. It will go into Bitcoin, I believe, but much of his lessons are very prescient. The cure for high prices is high prices, as he says. Our central banks and central bankers and their infinite wisdom think the cure to slowing or speeding up velocity of currency is to dump more currency units onto the population. A nation's wealth are goods and services that it provides or produces. Remember, if we're on an island by ourselves, we have $1 trillion of Bitcoin or $1 trillion of gold or $1 trillion itself. It doesn't mean anything if there's no goods or services there to buy or transact for. Not the supply of currency units that dumps everywhere. That is not wealth. Just giving people cash or currency is not wealth. Having more currency units chasing the same or fewer goods and services just drive up the price of said goods and services that exist. Price controls always result in shortages. As businesses aren't able to charge the correct amount, they are forced to go out of business, therefore creating more shortages and yet again higher prices to those that are left. As the demand increases, so does the price. If supply increases, then prices go down. Jay Powell, printing that currency, ready to go. And Biden knows too. What happens when you print trillions of dollars out of thin air? Inflation. And we can see here from Shadow Stats, John Williams, the real inflation, what they used to base it off of 40 years ago, it's about 15, 16, 17%. Now, the government's fooled around with it a lot. Well, they're saying it's 8%. Still catastrophically high, but look what it really is. This is insanity. Have to be able to see and read between the lines, see what's going on. The Roman Emperor Diocletianus tried to impose his will on the free market through price controls, as Mike Maloney illustrates in his Hidden Secrets of Money, which is unbelievable. Here's the 7 stages of empire. Episodes 9 and 10, he talks about the Diocletian and what the emperor, how similar the Roman Republic was from the American Republic, and that the same exact path we were going down. We're damn near the end. We're about 98% complete. He made the same mistakes, and Diocletian tried to fix his error from printing currency by dousing the blaze with more gasoline. People are forced to charge what was set forth through his edict of price controls, punishable by death. So people stopped working or just changed businesses. Then government, Diocletian in his infinite wisdom, made another law that had people go into their father's business. They were demanded to, they had to, and then by law, and then people just stopped working altogether. This was also punishable by death. And this destroyed and ravaged the entire economy. So please go check out Mike Maloney's Hidden Secrets of Money, some of the best videos ever made on the monetary system and how it works. Episode 2 is about the 7 stages of empire, and 9 and 10 are about the Roman Empire, the Roman Republic, and how similar it is to America. What is the cure for supply and demand imbalances? The cure for demand shortages is bringing down the price through less currency printing and inflation. The further every dollar stretches, the more people can spend on discretionary items. The more wealth and purchasing power middle class and poor have to spend on goods and services. What are shortages and how they are caused? How are they caused by inflation? Shortages are not caused by lockdowns and ridiculous government regulations. They are caused by central bank printing of currency and a loose monetary policy that creates too much fake wealth and leaves too many currency units chasing too few goods and services. This leaves businesses short of needed supply if they can't keep prices climbing to offset the crazy increase in currency being thrown at them. Lockdowns, anybody? What if we told you? What if Neo and Morpheus told you that it was supposed to be 2 weeks to flatten the curve? Monetary policy versus fiscal policy. Because of terrible monetary policy, the Federal Reserve and central banks printing currency and lowering rates, we find ourselves in a situation where we don't want to save, and capital just goes into the market to be spent while it's worth something. The fiscal policy, the government transfers payments directly to citizens, has drastically increased the inflation rate as people getting currency units from the government, PPP, are not having to make their rental, mortgage, or student loan payments. This fiscal policy leads to more capital chasing an ever decreasing supply of goods and services, therefore driving up the prices. And again, Henry Ford reminded us 100 years ago, it is well enough that the people of our nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. This is why it's so paramount that we understand this. Coupon rate or interest rate help? Coupon rate is the rate at which you are paid back and how much that payment is. If we have higher interest rates naturally instead of artificial rates from the Fed, it would slow down the velocity of currency and more capital would be saved, earning a better interest. Because of low rates, the capital would otherwise be saved, now in circulation, wanting to be spent and fighting for the goods and services with all the other currency units. You know the ramification of that, higher and higher prices. So recession or depression. This will lead us to recession and possible depression. A recession is officially a period of temporary economic decline, which trade and industrial activity are reduced, generally identified by a fall in GDP in 2 successive quarters. We have negative GDP right now, just FYI. But you don't need to have the overlords tell you that we are already in recession. The Fed is trying to crash markets to tame inflation, admittedly, which we see here. The Fed must inflict more losses. The Fed governor is saying, formal central bankers, we have to crash the markets to tame inflation. Officially, depression is a severe and prolonged downturn in economic activity. In economics, a depression is commonly defined as an extreme recession that lasts 3 or more years, or which leads to a decline in real GDP of at least 10% in a given year. Well, we're in negative GDP land. Or as they say, a recession is when your neighbor loses their job, and a depression is when you lose your job. This is important because recessions and depressions lead to downsizing your companies, which lead downsizing of companies, which lead to less jobs and less incomes, which lead to less investment, which then brings about less tax receipts, which forces the government to print more currency to cover debts, further enslaving the very productive people working in the system. This collapses everything in on itself in a negative reinforcing loop. What can you do besides voting out crony corrupt leaders and politicians at your local level, starting at your local and state level, and then the national level? At the end of the day, all this madness is coming, but you can thrive if you own hard assets. This is not investment advice. However, get out of things that are fake and get into things that are real. Primary assets, not tertiary, primary assets. Bitcoin, gold, and silver, commodities like oil, uranium, wheat, guns, ammo, water, food storage, gold, silver, Bitcoin. Get some food storage. My Patriot Supply. Check out, learn about uranium, learn about commodities, and get Starlink. Get things like this. Get these services, these technologies that are going to remove yourself from the system. It is ever apparent now that we must remove ourselves from the old legacy system because it is crumbling beneath us, and we need to escape quickly before the house comes down on ourselves. Protect yourself and hedge your chaos. Things will be bad for most, but it doesn't have to be for you and me. We can survive and thrive in a world gone mad. Things will get worse before they get better, but you can be on the winning side of the trade, and we definitely will be. Stay strong out there.